Hello, everyone. I've decided to do a morning live. I just had some coffee and I just woken up. And I decided to just get really real here. This could be kind of a raw and real video, but it's just more of some honesty. And I just kind of want to talk about what's kind of happening in the spiritual community. It's been happening for a while, but it's all about this light and love Kool-Aid that I feel a lot of people are not understanding, that there is an aspect of it that is a infiltration of a darker agenda to keep people in the spiritual community submissive, and also disempowering them from taking very big action. Okay, standing up for truths. So hi Mike, glad you're here. So let's get into it, because I really want to talk about this whole light and love business. Yesterday I was commenting on a post, and someone had put up a post about, them not, you basically not really liking the president, which is totally normal. A lot of people don't. That's not really the issue here. But I put in a comment because this person was talking about the debt and why we don't have Medicare for all, and why the minimum wage isn't being raised, and all of these kind of things. And I just simply put in a post or a comment on my understanding of Economics 101, and explaining how raising the minimum wage often can decimate the economy, because simply businesses can only support a certain wage. And, certain businesses, depending on what they're running on, it's not like you can just raise the wage and magically like the business can just support it. There's other factors involved. And if businesses can't support that wage, they end up having to fire employees, and then people lose their jobs and they're not even getting any money now, never mind a higher wage. And so I just kind of put in my thoughts on that. And some guy came in and told me and two other people who had disagreed with this woman that we were all ganging up on her, and how could we do that? How dare we, if we're part of this kind of light and love community? And I was like, wow, all I did was speak my truth and make a comment. And I was told I was being ganged up on, and this guy goes in to say, but you should really wake up, you're indoctrinated, and then said, but with light and love and peace be with you. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous. So first of all, I just want to talk about how this, just say what you want to say. You don't have to end things with light and love, because to be quite honest, you didn't send it with light and love. There was a lot of judgment in there. So let's just call a spade and be really honest about it. And we are humans. We can disagree and voice our opinions without having to be in like some sort of meditative state and transcending all like human emotions that are supposed to be of a destructive nature. That's a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. When you are looking at this idea of light and love, this doesn't mean that you only engage with the higher frequencies of like joy and peace and love and enlightenment and, acceptance and all of that. Like, those are all great things, but it doesn't mean that that's all you engage with. If you're not willing to look at the darker aspects of yourself, if you're not willing to look at the darker aspects of society, you're sticking your head in the sand and you're pretending it's not there, and you're avoiding things. And to me, that's part of the indoctrination within the spiritual community that we need to kind of get really honest about. If you're not willing to feel anger, if you're not willing to feel sadness, if you're not willing to feel like those despair emotions, shame, guilt, whatever they are, man, like, you're not able to go into your own healing. You're not able to transcend the pain and become out of this a brighter light, which is what a lot of people are wanting. It's what majority of us want. We want to come out of this a better version of ourselves. So you've got to understand that, this isn't just about like being all light and love and pretending like all the other shit doesn't exist. And it also doesn't mean that you don't get to be human and you don't get to express your own personality. Like for instance, myself, I'm very direct. I don't really sugarcoat things, and I don't try to soften the blow. Like I believe in getting to the truth and delivering the truth. And for a lot of us in the spiritual community, we want to pretend like, we just need to be really sweet and, kind about the way we deliver everything. And that doesn't mean that you're meant to be an asshole about everything, but sometimes people need to hear the hard truth and wake and kind of snap out of what they're kind of being stuck in. So it also doesn't mean this light and love. One of the other things that I really kind of want to address about light and love is that it doesn't mean that you don't fight and stand up for yourself, okay? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to eventually maybe have to fight to hold your own ground when it's necessary. Sometimes you do. You need to draw that sword of truth out, and you need to be willing to use it. And I think there's just some kind of indoctrination around this idea that sometimes if you need to say something that's going to be hard for someone else to hear, you need to say it and own your own authenticity. Don't be afraid of saying the wrong thing. The only way that we ever learn how to communicate in a healthier way is if we just start communicating, period. We kind of live in this world where we got to be politically correct and say the right thing and not say the wrong thing. And I really feel like that's stifling our own throat chakra. It's stifling our own ability to learn how to communicate in a healthy manner. And so if you get it wrong, who cares? At least you tried. At least you expressed something, as opposed to suppressing and trying to like just say the right thing and look a certain way. And just gonna kind of get over that. I really believe that some of this like light and love stuff is a dark infiltration on an indoctrination of the spiritual community. Just like every other religion has indoctrination, so does the spiritual community. And I believe that it's meant to turn us into lambs and not allow us to become the lion of our own dominion. And sometimes you really need to be ready to fight, like I said. So becoming a lamb means you're easy prey. And to be quite honest, these people or entities that have a darker force field or agenda in play, man, they'll eat you like for dinner, for breakfast, for lunch, and all that, if you just kind of allow yourself to be that lamb. And we really need to become more spiritual warriors in many ways. That doesn't mean that you're constantly going to war. And I know there's some people who don't like that term, and that's cool, and I get it. But listen, if you're not that kind of person who wants to go on the battlefield, and not everyone does, that's cool. That's all right. You don't need to be on the battlefield. But don't put down those of us who are willing to go on the battlefield and do the things that some people aren't willing to do, and to put our integrity, our faces, our own, like, everything that we stand for on the line to fight for what we believe is right and good in this world. Sometimes it needs to get a little harsh, and sometimes it gets a little dirty, and you have to be okay with that, because this entire world is about, you cannot transcend this place without getting dirty. If you're not willing to go swimming in your own shit, okay, then you're not willing to transcend this place. And the reality is that the more you go and swim in your own shit, the more equipped you are to face all of the darker stuff in this world and take it down. And that is like so important. You can't expect everything in this world to be wrapped up in a light and love bow, because that's what feels good to you, and that's what you feel like where being part of the heart structure and working from the heart is actually about. Sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. You need to have sovereignty. You need to have boundaries, and you need to know when someone's stepping on your own journey and telling them to back off. You need to be able to fight the fight. And I just feel like when you're willing to kind of put yourself out there or say something that everyone's not agree with, that I don't know, people need thicker skin in this community. You know, we need to, and the only way that you get thicker skin is if you start to get really honest with who you are, what you're here for, and what this journey is all about. And so that's just like a few of my thoughts on this whole stuff. Like, remember, when you're becoming more tuned into your own spirituality and your own soul and who you're all about, it is about becoming a better version of yourself. But in that process, you can't deny the darker aspects of yourself, which means it's not always going to be light and love. And you got to be okay with that. That's not what this planet is about. That's not why we're all here. And so, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Just curious what anyone else here is saying here. Keegan, those who refuse to accept that evil exists in this realm will inevitably fall into the pit with evil. Yeah, like you've got to be willing to draw the sword, okay, the sword of your own truth, or you're gonna end up falling on it, you know. And no, we didn't come here to be martyrs. We didn't come here to self-sacrifice ourselves. You know, we came here to fight the fight, to do what's right, and to remember who we are, to get in touch with the lost parts of ourselves, and to rediscover that, and through that, bring ourselves back home to what our infinite powers are. You know, the more healing that I do, the more I really dive into the darker aspects of my own journey and the things that have caused me a lot of pain and, you know, shaped and changed my life in many ways and caused me to live life in a certain way that is more self-destructive than constructive. The more I've learned to really like myself and love myself and be okay with this journey and be more accepting. It's interesting. Like, the more I am willing to face the things that I've been avoiding my whole life, the more I've really been able to come in touch with the more light aspects of myself. So it's not that light and love isn't available to us all. It's not that that's not important, but you can't just think that's the only way forward and to, you know, and don't use it. Don't hijack it to mask, you know, your real thoughts and agendas, okay? Like, please do not comment on other people's posts in a really judgmental way and then sign it off with light and love, because first of all, anyone who's done the work can see right through that shit, okay? It's really transparent to those who are willing to pull back the veil of their own self. But also, like, just own it. Own it. Like, own your own self. Own what you want to say. And be authentic. Like, I'd much rather have a conversation with someone who's got some real emotions, willing to share it, and maybe not, like, look perfect when they do it. That's okay. I'd much rather have a conversation with you, because at least I know I'm getting to see the real you. And at least I know I'm getting to interact with someone who's not afraid of their own darkness and their own shadows. And that's what we kind of have to be more accepting of, is willing to express ourselves, maybe perhaps say the wrong thing. Oh, well, oops. And then course correct and move on. But again, self-expression is only going to be strengthened the more we're willing to use it in a very honest way. And suppressing our emotions or suppressing the words that we use because whoever doesn't feel like it's the right word to use, that's just all part of, like, a program that we've all been kind of taught to live by, and the only way to remove it is to not engage in that program. So loving you guys. Jasper, preach, good to see you here. Mike Human, it's all about the balance between the divine feminine and the sacred masculine. Yeah, and actually I'm really interested, because about that I'm going to be doing a show, one of my podcasts I'm going to be recording this weekend about the divine feminine, and also my thoughts on the whole, like, rising of the divine feminine energy within the community. And not that I don't love the divine feminine, trust me, I love it. I've learned to love the divine feminine aspects of myself and come much more into sacred union with that. However, there are darker aspects that have infiltrated the rise of the feminine as well. And we're going to get into that. Annetta, yes, be yourself. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you here. Do you guys have any questions for me that you'd like to ask? Willing to ask any questions here. Hey, Philip. Good to see you. Hope life is good with you and your family. And say hi to Karen. Yeah, just let me know if you guys have any questions. If not, then I'm going to sign off. All right, guys. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll be back with you guys real soon.